Hey, I'm Emma. Welcome to Revenge Pulse, where every story hits different. Hit subscribe and let's dive in. The ham sat in the center of Mom's dining table, glazed and perfect, surrounded by her famous sweet potato casserole and green bean amandine. 23 people crowded into the house: uncles, cousins, my parents, and my brother Derek with his fiancée Melissa. Christmas music played softly from the speakers. Everyone wore their best sweaters and fake smiles. I'd arrived at 2 p.m. with a $140 bottle of wine and homemade cookies. Mom kissed my cheek, said, "Oh, you're here," and immediately returned to fussing over Derek's seating arrangement. He needed the head of the table, she explained, because Melissa had been having morning sickness and needed easy access to the bathroom. "Congratulations," I said to them both. "When are you due?" Melissa touched her flat stomach. "April. We just found out last week." "That's wonderful news." I meant it. I'm not cruel, despite what this story might make you think. Derek didn't respond. He was showing Uncle Tom something on his phone, plans for the nursery, apparently, which he and Melissa were designing in their apartment. The apartment I'd been paying for since September 2019. Nobody asked me to sit down. Nobody asked about my flight from Denver. Nobody mentioned that I'd been promoted to senior data analyst in October, a promotion I'd posted about on Facebook with genuine excitement. The post had gotten 147 likes from college friends, former co-workers, and people I barely knew. My family's engagement. Mom had hearted it. That was Italiano. I found a seat at the far end of the table, between Cousin Rachel's kids, who were already arguing over a handheld gaming device. Dinner began with Dad's traditional toast. "To family," he said, raising his glass. "The people who matter most, the people who show up for each other." Everyone clinked glasses. I touched mine to 7-year-old Emma's plastic cup of apple juice. The meal progressed through the usual topics: Aunt Linda's hip replacement, Uncle Tom's boats, Cousin Rachel's son making the travel soccer team, Derek and Melissa's wedding plans. They'd set a date for June, a vineyard ceremony, 200 guests. The venue deposit alone was $8,000, Mom said proudly. But Derek deserves the best. He's worked so hard. Derek managed a car dealership. He'd been there for 6 years, the same amount of time I'd been building my career in data analytics. "We're doing a destination bachelorette party in Nashville," Melissa announced. "Just the bridal party and close family. It'll be so fun." "When is it?" Aunt Linda asked. "March. We've already booked the Airbnb." I hadn't been invited to be a bridesmaid. I'd expected that. Melissa had 3 sisters, and Derek had apparently chosen his groomsmen carefully, college friends who'd been there through everything. I'd been away at college during those years, studying until 2 a.m., working 2 part-time jobs to minimize my student loans. What I didn't expect was that I apparently wasn't close family either. "Sounds like fun," I said neutrally, cutting my ham into precise pieces. The conversation moved on. Nobody noticed I hadn't been included. Or maybe they did notice and didn't care. I thought back to when this pattern had started: middle school. Probably. Derek was the athlete varsity basketball by sophomore year. I was the quiet one with a book, making honor roll every semester but never quite mattering as much. When Derek scored 20 points in a game, Dad took him out for steak. When I won the regional science fair, Mom said, "That's nice, honey," and asked if I'd seen Derek's game highlights. College had been worse. Derek went to state school on a partial athletic scholarship, tore his ACL junior year, lost the scholarship, partied his way to a 2.4 GPA, graduated with $28,000 in student loans that Mom and Dad helped him pay off. He had bad luck, Mom explained. The injury wasn't his fault. I went to the same state school on a full academic scholarship, graduated summa cum laude with a double major in statistics and computer science. My student loans $31,000 because the scholarship didn't cover housing were mine to handle. "You're so smart," Dad had said. "You'll figure it out." I'd figured it out. I'd been making payments for 7 years. I had $8,400 left. "So, Emma," I said, turning to the 7-year-old next to me, "what did Santa bring you?" Emma lit up. For the next 10 minutes, I heard about every toy, every game, every stocking stuffer. She was easy to talk to. She didn't expect anything from me, except attention, which I gave freely. Then dessert came out: Mom's famous bourbon pecan pie, apple crisp with vanilla ice cream, and a chocolate cake that Melissa had specifically requested. Everyone, ooh-hey and a plates were distributed with mathematical precision, ensuring Derek and Melissa got the biggest slices. That's when Derek cleared his throat. "I want to say something," he announced, loud enough that all 23 people stopped their conversations. "It's Christmas, and I've been thinking a lot about family lately, about what family means." Everyone turned to look at him. Melissa squeezed his hand supportively. "Melissa and I are starting our own family now," Derek continued, "and it's made me realize how important it is to have people who actually show up, people who actually help each other and don't just think about themselves." A few people nodded. Uncle Tom said, "Here, here." Derek's eyes found mine across the table. "Some people in this family are always talking about how busy they are, how important their jobs are, but when it comes to actually being there for family, when it comes to actually helping out," he shook his head sadly, "they're nowhere to be found." My stomach tightened, but I kept my face perfectly neutral. "Derek," Melissa said softly, but he continued, "I'm just saying Jenna never helps anyone but herself. She's got this fancy job in Denver, flying all over for work, but has she once offered to help with anything? Has she been there for Mom and Dad? For me?" He looked around the table, gathering support. "She hasn't. Not once. She just does her own thing and expects us to celebrate her little accomplishments while the rest of us actually support each other." The table had gone completely silent. Emma's fork stopped halfway to her mouth. I recognized this pattern, this exact pattern. When Derek had crashed Dad's truck at 19, drunk, after a party, he'd somehow made it about how I always had to be perfect and made him feel bad. When he'd been fired from his first job for showing up late repeatedly, he'd complained at Sunday dinner that I thought I was better than everyone because I'd just gotten my first promotion. I looked at Mom. She was looking at her pie. I looked at Dad. He was nodding slowly, like Derek had made an excellent point. Aunt Linda broke the silence. "Well, family should help each other." "Exactly," Derek said. "That's all I'm saying. Some people get it. Some people don't." I took a sip of water, set down my glass, pulled out my phone. Everyone was watching me now, probably expecting an outburst, a defense, tears. That's what the old Jenna would have done. The Jenna who'd spent her 20s trying to prove she was worth noticing. I wasn't that Jenna anymore. I opened my banking app, found the automatic payments scheduled for December 28th, 3 days away. Derek's rent, $1,850, same as it had been for 48 months. I'd been paying it directly to his landlord, a property management company called Summit Rentals. Derek had asked me to set it up that way for simplicity. In reality, it meant Melissa didn't know. It meant Derek could pretend his $52,000 salary covered their $1,850 apartment plus all their other expenses. I clicked cancel payment. Then I canceled the January payment. In February and March. I deleted the recurring payment entirely. The whole thing took 45 seconds. I looked up. Everyone was still staring at me, waiting for my reaction to Derek's speech. I smiled. "You're absolutely right, Derek. I should stop being so selfish." I took a bite of pecan pie. It was delicious. Derek looked confused, like he'd been expecting a fight and didn't know what to do with agreement. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you finally get it." "I do," I said. "I really do." The conversation slowly resumed. Aunt Linda started talking about her hip replacement again. Cousin Rachel's son knocked over his milk. Mom jumped up to clean it. Derek and Melissa whispered to each other, probably wondering why I'd taken his criticism so calmly. I finished my pie, complimented Mom's cooking, helped clear plates, said goodbye to everyone with appropriate hugs and holiday wishes. "Driving back tonight?" Dad asked. "Flying out tomorrow morning," I said. "Early flight," Be safe, he said, already turning toward the TV where a football game was starting. I left at 8 p.m. Nobody walked me to my rental car. I sat in the driveway for a moment, engine running, heat gradually warming the car. My phone buzzed with a text from my boyfriend Marcus. How bad was it? Interesting, I typed back. Tell you when I get to the hotel? I pulled out of the driveway. In my rearview mirror, I could see the house lit up, full of family, full of people who loved each other conditionally. Derek's rent was due in 3 days. Summit Rentals didn't mess around with late payments. I knew because I'd read every clause of his lease when I'd started making the payments. 2.5 years earlier, June 2019. Derek had called me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Jen, I need your help. Like, seriously need your help. I'd been in my Denver apartment, working on a project presentation. What's wrong? I'm going to lose my apartment. The landlord wants 2 months' rent or he's evicting me. I had some some unexpected expenses. Medical stuff, and the car needed work. I'm drowning here. How much do you need? $3,700. I know it's a lot. I'll pay you back. I swear. I just need a couple months to catch up. I'd had $8,200 in my savings account at that point. Giving him $3,700 meant losing almost half of my emergency fund. But he was my brother. He sounded desperate. I can help, I said. But Derek, you need to figure out a budget. This can't keep happening. I know. I will. Thank you. God, thank you. You're saving my life. I'd Venmo'd him the money that night. 2 weeks later, he called again. Hey. So the thing is, the medical bills were worse than I thought, and I'm still short on next month's rent. Is there any way you could help me out again, just until I catch up? That's when he'd suggested the arrangement. He'd give me his landlord's payment portal information. I'd pay his rent directly, every month, just for a few months until he stabilized. He'd pay me back once he got his annual bonus in December. This way, it's automatic, he'd said. You don't have to think about it. I don't have to stress about it. And I promise, Jen, December, I'll pay you back everything. December 2019 came. The bonus, he explained, had been smaller than expected, and Melissa's student loan payments had increased. And they were planning a vacation they'd already put deposits on. Could I keep helping just a few more months? January 2020. February, March. By April, COVID hit. The dealership is barely staying open, Derek had said. I can't ask you for more money, but I can't lose the apartment either. We're trapped. I'd kept paying $1,850 every month, directly to Summit Rentals. I'd justified it 100 ways. He was struggling. The pandemic was hard on everyone. Family helps family. I was lucky I transitioned smoothly to remote work, and my company was actually thriving. The payments continued through 2021. Then 2022. Then 2023. By Christmas 2023, I'd paid $88,800 of Derek's rent over 53 months. He'd never paid me back, not once. He'd also never told Melissa. I knew because she'd mentioned their apartment hunt in a family group chat once, saying they were finally at a point where they could afford a 2-bedroom. Derek had quickly changed the subject. During those same 53 months, I'd built a different life. I'd been promoted twice, senior analyst in 2021, senior data analyst in October 2023. My salary had climbed to $97,000. I'd learned SQL, Python, advanced statistical modeling. I'd presented at 2 industry conferences. My work on predictive modeling had been featured in a tech industry newsletter. I'd met Marcus in January 2023 at a data science meet in Denver. He was a software engineer, calm and thoughtful, with a dry sense of humor that made me laugh in unexpected moments. We'd been dating for 11 months now. He knew about my family situation, knew I was paying Derek's rent, knew they barely acknowledged my existence. Why do you keep doing it? He'd asked once. Because if I stop, he'll lose his apartment, and somehow that'll become my fault. Maybe it should become his problem instead. I'd thought about that conversation a lot. I'd also built real friendships in Denver, co-workers who actually asked about my life. A hiking group that met every Saturday. A book club with women who texted me memes and remembered my birthday. My mentor at work, Diane, was a VP of analytics with 20 years of experience. She'd taken me under her wing, teaching me how to negotiate salary increases, how to present technical information to non-technical executives, how to build a career with intention. "You're talented," she'd told me after my last promotion. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." I'd stopped going home for most holidays after 2021. Thanksgiving, I usually volunteered at a Denver food bank. Easter, Marcus and I would go hiking. 4th of July camping with friends. Christmas was harder to avoid. Mom's guilt trips were weaponized to perfection. "It's Christmas. Jenna, you can't miss Christmas. What will people think?" So I'd gone home for Christmas 2022 and 2023. Both times, I'd been ignored, dismissed, or criticized. Both times, I'd left feeling invisible. This year 2024, almost skipped it. Marcus had suggested a trip to Belize. Just us. Beach, books. No family drama, but something had made me go. Maybe I needed to see it one more time. Needed confirmation that I wasn't imagining the pattern. Needed proof that I was making the right choice in building a life separate from these people. I'd gotten that confirmation. Derek's rent was due December 28th. I'd canceled the payment on December 25th. I didn't hear anything on December 26th. Boxing Day passed quietly. I was back in Denver, catching up on work emails, making plans with Marcus for New Year's Eve. December 27th. Marcus came over with Thai takeout. We watched a movie, his arm around my shoulders, comfortable and easy. "Have you heard from your brother?" he asked during a quiet scene. "Not yet. The payment isn't officially late until tomorrow." "Do you think he knows you canceled it?" "He'll find out tomorrow when Summit Rentals sends the late notice." Marcus kissed the top of my head. "How are you feeling about it?" "Got calm," I said. And I was. No guilt, no anxiety, just a clear sense that I'd made the right choice. "I'm done being confused for an ATM." December 28th, 3:47 p.m. My phone rang. Derek. I let it go to voicemail. He called again at 4:02 p.m., again at 4:15 p.m. At 4:31 p.m., a text appeared. "Call me. It's urgent." I was in a meeting with Diane, reviewing Q1 projections. I silenced my phone. When the meeting ended at 5:30 p.m., I had 7 missed calls from Derek, 3 from Mom, and 2 from a number I didn't recognize, probably Melissa. The voicemails were predictable. "Derek, first message. Jen, hey, I just got a really weird notice from my landlord saying my rent wasn't paid. I'm sure it's just a mistake, but can you call me back?" Derek, fourth message. "Jenna, what the hell? My landlord is saying the payment was cancelled. Did something happen with your bank? Call me now." Derek, 7th message. "You cancelled the payment. You actually cancelled it. Are you kidding me right now? You're going to make me homeless because of what I said at Christmas. Jesus, Jenna, call me back." Mom's messages were different. "Honey, Derek is really worried about his apartment. I'm sure there's just been a misunderstanding. Can you give him a call?" I didn't call anyone back. Instead, I opened a spreadsheet I'd created years ago. Every payment to Derek, meticulously documented, date, amount, confirmation number. 53 payments. $88,800 total. ID also kept every text message where he'd promised to pay me back soon or next month or once things stabilize. I saved the spreadsheet as a PDF. Put it in a folder on my desktop labeled Derek, Financial History. Then, I made dinner lemon chicken with roasted vegetables and watched 2 episodes of a detective show Marcus had recommended. My phone kept buzzing. I turned on Do Not Disturb. December 29th. Morning. 23 new text messages. Derek had shifted strategies. Now, He was apologizing. "I'm sorry about what I said. I was stressed about money and I took it out on you. But Jen, I need this payment. The landlord is threatening eviction. Melissa doesn't know I'm behind. She thinks I've been paying it. If she finds out I've been lying for 4 years, she'll leave me. Please, I'm begging you." Mom had gotten more aggressive. "Jenna Marie, I don't know what game you're playing, but family doesn't do this to family. Derek made a mistake at dinner. Apollohise. You need to fix whatever you did with his rent payment. This is cruel." Dad had joined the chorus. "Your brother needs help. Whatever issue you two are having, this isn't the way to solve it. Be the bigger person." I responded to none of them. At 2 p.m., Derek called from a video chat. Primera declined Italiano, he sent a voice memo. "Jenna, please. I know I screwed up. I know I've been taking advantage of you. I'm sorry. I really am. But I can't lose this apartment. Melissa and I are supposed to get married in 6 months. She's pregnant. You're really going to let your nephew or niece become homeless because I said something stupid." I saved the voice memo. December 30th. The messages got desperate. My landlord filed eviction paperwork. Melissa found out. She's asking why I told her I'd been paying rent when I clearly haven't. She's looking at our bank statements. Mom and Dad want to have a family meeting. They want you on Zoom tomorrow, 4 p.m. Don't ignore this. I thought about ignoring it. I really did, but I also wanted them to hear the truth. Not my version of the truth, the actual, documented, spreadsheet-verified truth. I texted Mom. "I'll be on the call." December 31st, 3:58 p.m. I logged into Zoom. Mom, Dad, Derek, and Melissa were already on the call. Derek looked exhausted. Melissa looked angry. Mom looked disappointed in a way that was usually reserved for when I missed church on Easter. Jenna, Mom started. "We need to talk about this situation." "Agreed," I said calmly. "Derek told us you've been helping with his rent, which is wonderful, Berigi enero was, but he also said you suddenly stopped the payment without warning him, and now he's facing eviction. He's apologized for what he said at Christmas. I think the right thing to do is, how much do you think I've given Derek?" I interrupted. Mom blinked. "What? For his rent? How much do you think I've given him over the past 4 years?" I don't know," Derek said. "You've been helping out." "Guess." Dad frowned. "Jenna, this isn't guess," I repeated. "Maybe, 10,000. Mom said. 15. I shared my screen. The spreadsheet appeared 53 rows of payments, all highlighted and totaled at the bottom. $88,800. I said. "I've paid Derek's rent for 53 consecutive months. $1,850 per month directly to Summit Rentals. The first payment was June 2019. The last payment was November 2024. The silence on the call was absolute. "That can't be right," Dad said. I scrolled through the spreadsheet slowly. Junho 2019, July 2019. August 2019. Every payment has a confirmation number. I can provide bank statements if you'd like verification. Melissa was staring at Derek. "You told me we were paying rent." It's complicated," Derek stammered. "You told me we could afford this apartment," Melissa continued, her voice rising. "You said your salary covered it. I've been putting my entire paycheck toward wedding expenses and the baby fund because you said you had the apartment covered. I was going to pay her back," Derek said. "With what money?" Melissa's face had gone red. "You spend $400 a month on golf. You just bought a new driver for $600. We went to Cancun in October." "Wait," Mom said, still staring at my screen. "Jenna, why didn't you tell us you were doing this?" "Derek asked me not to," I said simply. "He said it was temporary. He said he'd pay me back. He said it was our private arrangement. But $88,000 is exactly what it cost to keep Derek housed for 4 years while he built a life that looks successful to everyone else. I finished. Car dealership manager. Nice apartment. Destination vacations. Wedding at a vineyard venue with an $8,000 deposit. Meanwhile, I was working 60-hour weeks, flying economy for business trips, and eating meal prep chicken and rice to keep my expenses low so I could afford to support my brother. You make good money, Dad said. Like this justified everything. I make $97,000, I said. Which is good, but after taxes, student loans, rent, and giving Derek $80 and $150 every single month, I was barely saving anything. I've been rebuilding my emergency fund for 2 years. Derek finally found his voice. I was going to pay you back. I just needed time. You had 53 months, I said. You had 4.5 years. You never paid back a single dollar. Instead, you stood up at Christmas dinner and told 23 people that I never help anyone but myself. I was stressed, Derek sighed. The money stuff was weighing on me, and you made me the villain, I said, my voice still perfectly calm. You took $88,000 from me, hid it from your fiancé, lied about your finances, and then publicly humiliated me in front of our entire family, and everyone nodded along because they believed you. Mom looked stricken. We didn't know. You didn't ask, I said. Not once in 4 years did anyone ask how I was doing, how my job was going, if I needed anything. When I got promoted to senior analyst, I posted about it on Facebook. Mom hearted it. That was it. When I got promoted again in October, nobody noticed at all. We're proud of you, Dad said weakly. Are you? I asked. Because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like I only matter when Derek needs money. Melissa stood up off screen. I heard a door slam. Derek put his head in his hands. What am I supposed to do now? The eviction is already filed. Figure it out, I said, the same way I figured out how to pay off my student loans while supporting you. The same way I figured out how to build a career without any support from this family. You'll figure it out. Jenna, Mom said. He's your brother. You can't just abandon him. I laughed. Actually laughed. Mom, I gave him $88,000. I paid his rent for 4 years. I'm not abandoning him. I'm just done being an ATM. What if we pay you back? Dad said suddenly. Your mother and I could. I don't want your money, I said. I want you to stop pretending Derek is the victim here. I want you to acknowledge that I've been helping this family in a very real, very expensive way for years. And I want you to understand that I'm done. Done with what? Mom? Ask it. Ask it. Done with all of this. Done with being invisible until someone needs something. Done with showing up for people who don't show up for me. Done with family that doesn't act like family. I could see tears in Mom's eyes. Dad looked angry. Derek looked broken. I felt nothing but relief. I have plans tonight, I said. Marcus and I are going to dinner. I hope you all figure things out. Primera. Reagido, but I won't be part of the solution anymore. I left the Zoom call, turned off my computer. Marcus arrived at 6 p.m. We went to a nice restaurant downtown, the kind with white tablecloths and wine, that costs more than $15 a bottle. We toasted to the new year at midnight, surrounded by strangers who were kinder to me than my family had been in a decade. The messages didn't stop. January 2nd, Mom called 8 times. Dad called 4 times. Derek sent a 30-message thread that started with apologies and ended with you really going to let me be homeless? You're that heartless. I blocked Derek's number. January 5th, Melissa texted from an unknown number. We need to talk. Can you meet me for coffee? I was surprised enough that I agreed. We met January 7th at a neutral Starbucks halfway between my apartment and theirs. Melissa looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes, wearing an oversized sweater that hid her tiny baby bump. Thank you for meeting me, she said. Of course. She ordered a decaf latte. I got a regular coffee. We sat by the window. Derek moved out, Melissa said. He's staying with a friend from the dealership. I'm still at the apartment, but only until I find something cheaper. We're breaking the lease. I'm sorry, I said. And I meant it. Melissa had been caught in Derek's web too. Did you really give him $88,000? Yes. Jesus. She stirred her latte. He told me his salary covered everything. He said we were being responsible, saving for the wedding and the baby. Meanwhile, he was spending money we didn't have because you were covering the biggest expense. I didn't know he was lying to you, I said. If I'd known, you would have kept paying. Melissa asked. I thought about it. Probably. Because I would have felt bad for you. That's what Derek counts on, she said. People feeling bad for him. He's really good at it. We sat in silence for a moment. I'm not marrying him, Melissa said quietly. I can't. I can't build a life with someone who lies like that, who lets his sister support him for 4 years and then calls her selfish in front of everyone. I'm sorry, I said again. Don't be. You did me a favor. She took a sip of her latte. I'm moving back to my parents' place in Colorado Springs. I'll have the baby there. Figure out my life. Derek can figure out his. What about him? I asked. What about him? He's a 32-year-old man with a job. He'll figure it out. She met my eyes. I wanted to meet you because I wanted to say thank you for stopping the payments, for showing me who he really is before I married him. We talked for another 20 minutes. She asked about my job, my life in Denver, Marcus. She actually listened to the answers. It was the most real conversation I'd had with anyone connected to my family in years. When we left, we hugged. Good luck with everything, I said. You, too. And Jenna, your family is wrong about you. You're not selfish. You're the opposite. I drove home with tears in my eyes, but they weren't sad tears. Yes. January 14th. Mom and Dad showed up at my apartment unannounced. I opened the door to find them standing in my hallway, looking uncomfortable and out of place in their winter coats. We drove up, Mom said. We need to talk to you. Face. Face. I didn't invite them in. How did you get my address? Derek had it, Dad said. Of course he did. For emergencies, for rent payments. What do you want? I asked. To understand, Mom said. To fix this, I leaned against my doorframe. Behind me, my apartment was warm and comfortable, my space, filled with my books and my art and the life I'd built. They weren't coming in. What's there to understand? I said. Why you're being so stubborn, Dad said. Derek is drowning. He lost his apartment. Melissa left him. He's living on a friend's couch. He's our son. Your brother. And I'm your daughter, I said. Your daughter who gave her brother $88,000. Your daughter who worked herself to exhaustion while supporting him. Your daughter who you didn't even notice got promoted twice. We noticed, Mom said. Did you? Because you never said congratulations. You never asked about my work. You never asked about anything in my life unless it related to Derek. That's not fair, Dad said. Isn't it? When was the last time you asked me how I was doing? They were silent. Here's what I understand, I said. Derek is facing consequences for his choices. For lying to Melissa, for spending money he didn't have, for taking advantage of me for 4 years. These are his consequences, not mine. He's your brother, Mom repeated. And that means I should keep supporting him forever. Keep being his safety net while he calls me selfish. Keep being invisible except when someone needs money. We didn't raise you to be this cold, Dad said. That one hurt. But I kept my voice steady. You didn't raise me to be a doormat either, but somehow that's what I became. The responsible one, the invisible one, the one who fixes problems and gets nothing in return except criticism. What do you want from us? Mom asked. We drove 3 hours to see you. We're trying. I want you to stop asking me to fix Derek's life. I want you to acknowledge that I've been helping this family in real, tangible ways. I want you to treat me like I matter, not just like I'm Derek's backup plan. You're being dramatic, Dad said. and there it was, the same dismissal I'd gotten my whole life. "I think you should leave," I said. "Jenna, I'm serious. I'm not having this conversation. I've said what I need to say. If you can't hear it, that's your choice. But I'm done trying to make you understand." Mom's eyes filled with tears. "We're your parents." "Then, act like it," I said. "Act like you care about both your children, not just the one who needs rescuing." I closed the door. They stood in the hallway for 2 more minutes. I could hear them talking in low voices. Then I heard their footsteps retreating. I called Marcus. He came over with pizza and sat with me on the couch, not saying much, just being there. "You okay?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "I really am." January 20th. My therapist, Dr. Chun, validated everything. I'd started seeing her in November, originally for work stress, but our sessions had quickly evolved into unpacking family dynamics. "What you're describing is financial exploitation," she said after I told her about the Christmas dinner confrontation and its aftermath. "Your brother created a dependency on your support, hid it from his partner, and then scapegoated you when he felt threatened. My parents think I'm being cruel." "Your parents are protecting their preferred child," Dr. Chun said gently. "It's not about cruelty. It's about boundaries. You set a healthy boundary after years of being taken advantage of. The fact that your family is responding with anger and guilt instead of understanding tells you everything you need to know." "Should I feel guilty? Do you?" I thought about it. "No. I feel relieved." "That's your answer," she said. February brought silence. No calls. No texts. No surprise visits. I checked Derek's Facebook once. He'd moved in with his friend Ryan, posted a photo of them at a bar with the caption "Real ones stick around." Mom had commented with a heart emoji. I didn't react. March came. Marcus and I took a long weekend in Santa Fart Galleries. Good food, hiking in the desert. His phone was on Do Not Disturb. Mine was too. We existed in a bubble of peace. April, my company announced another round of promotions. I wasn't on the list, but Diane pulled me aside. "Next cycle," she said, "we're positioning you for lead analyst. $30,000 raise. I'm not supposed to tell you this early, but you should know. Your work on the Q1 forecasting model was exceptional." I thanked her, went back to my desk, thought about how, if I was still paying Derek's rent, that raise would have just meant more money going to him. Now it would go to my savings. My future? My life. May brought an unexpected message. "Aunt Linda. Hi honey, I wanted to reach out. I've been thinking about Christmas. About what Derek said, and I wanted you to know why. Looked at my own finances. I realized I've been asking you for small loans for years. Nothing big. 100 here, 200 there, and I never paid you back either. I'd forgotten about those loans. They'd seemed so small compared to Derek's rent. I'm sending you a check," Aunt Linda continued, "for everything I owe you. It's $1,340. I'm ashamed it took me this long to realize what was happening. You're not selfish, Jenna. You're the most generous person in this family. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." The check arrived 3 days later. I deposited it, added it to my savings. Aunt Linda texted again. "I told your mother she owes you an apology." For what it's worth, Mom never apologized. October 2025, 10 months after Christmas, Marcus and I stood on a beach in Maui, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of orange and pink. The sand was warm under our feet. The waves were gentle. We'd been here for 4 days. 3 more to go. A full week in Hawaii, something I dreamed about but never thought I could afford. I could afford it now. My savings account had $34,600 in it. My emergency fund was fully funded 6 months of expenses, exactly what every financial advisor recommends. I'd paid off the last of my student loans in August. I was completely debt-free. "You're smiling," Marcus said, pulling me closer. "I'm happy," I said. And I was. Deeply, genuinely happy. "Good." He kissed my temple. "You deserve to be happy." We'd moved in together in July. A 2-bedroom apartment with a balcony and mountain views. Split rent, split utilities, split groceries. A true partnership. Diane had made good on her promise. I'd been promoted to lead analyst in September with a $32,000 raise. My salary was now $129,000. I was leading a team of 4 analysts. My work on predictive modeling had been presented at a major industry conference. I'd presented it myself, stood in front of 200 people and explained my methodology, answered questions, received applause. Afterward, 3 companies had approached me about job opportunities. I'd stayed with my current company. Diane was an incredible mentor. My team was talented. The work was challenging and meaningful. I'd also built a life filled with people who actually showed up. My hiking group had thrown me a surprise promotion party. My book club had sent flowers when I'd told them about paying off my student loans. Marcus's family had invited me to their Thanksgiving. I'd gone. His mom had asked me about my work and actually listened to my answers. His dad had shown me his woodworking shop and taught me how to use a lathe. His sister had added me to the family group chat. "You're one of us now," his mom had said, hugging me. I'd cried in the car on the way home. Happy tears. My phone buzzed in my beach bag. A text from Diane. "Enjoy your vacation. Team is killing it without you, but we miss you." I texted back a beach emoji. "Work?" Marcus asked. "Just Diane, checking in. She's good people. The best." We watched the sun sink lower. A couple walked past us, laughing, hand in hand. A family was building a sandcastle nearby, the kids shrieking with joy every time a wave came close. "Have you heard from your family?" Marcus asked carefully. He always asked carefully, giving me space to answer or not answer. "No. Not since May, when Linda sent the check." I paused. I saw on Facebook that Derek got a new apartment. Smaller place. He's still at the dealership. "How do you feel about that?" "Nothing, really. I hope he's okay. I hope he learned something, but it's not my problem anymore." "And your parents?" Still silent. "I think they're waiting for me to apologize for setting boundaries." I shrugged. "They'll be waiting a long time." Marcus squeezed my hand. "Their loss." "Yeah," I said. "It really is." The sun touched the horizon. The sky turned from orange to deep red to purple. "I've been thinking," Marcus said, "about next year. About us." I looked at him. He was smiling, nervous in a way I'd never seen him nervous. "What about us?" "I want to take more trips like this. I want to keep building this life with you. I want ... dub. Quotes, he paused. "I want you to know that I see you. Everything you've done. Everything you've overcome. I see it. And I'm amazed by you, every day." I kissed him, long and slow, tasting salt air and sunset and possibility. "I see you too," I said. We stayed on the beach until the stars came out. Then we walked back to our hotel, ordered room service, and watched a movie on the balcony with the ocean breeze cooling the warm night. The next morning, I woke up to a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Hi Jenna, this is Melissa. I had a baby girl last week." "Ruby? She's perfect. I wanted you to know. I also wanted to thank you again for everything. You changed my life by stopping those payments. I mean that. I'm in a good place now. My parents are helping. I'm going back to school for nursing. Ruby and I are going to be okay. I hope you're okay too." I showed Marcus the text. "That's really nice," he said. "It is. Are you going to respond?" I thought about it. About Melissa and baby Ruby. About the life they were building. About how sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stop enabling someone else's dysfunction. Primera texted back, "Congratulations on Ruby. I'm glad you're both doing well. Best wishes for everything." Short, kind. Boundaried. Melissa sent back a heart emoji. I put my phone away and went back to vacation. 3 months later, January 2026, Marcus and I were hosting our first dinner party. 8 people, co-workers, friends from the hiking group, A couple from our building we'd gotten close with. I'd made lasagna, salad, garlic bread. Marcus had handled cocktails and a playlist. Our apartment was warm and filled with conversation and laughter. To Jenna, Diane said, raising her glass, who just closed the biggest client deal of Q4 and made us all look good. Everyone cheered. I blushed. Marcus squeezed my shoulder. Speech. Someone called out. No speech, I said, laughing. Just thank you. For being here, for being ... you. That's the shortest speech ever, Sarah from the hiking group said. She's efficient, Marcus said. It's why she's so good at her job. More laughter? More wine? Someone asked about our Hawaii trip and we showed photos, sunsets, beaches, the ridiculous amount of poke we'd eaten. Next year, we're thinking Japan, Marcus said. We are? I asked. We are. I've been researching. Spring, cherry blossoms. 2 weeks. I kissed him in front of everyone. Okay. Let's do it. The party lasted until midnight. Everyone helped clean, uploading the dishwasher, putting away leftovers, wiping down counters. This was what family felt like, I realized. Not blood, not obligation, but people who showed up, people who helped, people who chose you and kept choosing you. After everyone left, Marcus and I collapsed on the couch. That was fun, he said. That was perfect. He pulled me close. You know what I noticed? What? You didn't check your phone once tonight. Not for texts. Not for calls. Not checking if your family was trying to reach you. He was right. I hadn't thought about them at all. I guess I'm really done, I said. How does that feel? Free, I said. It feels free. My phone buzzed on the coffee table. Unknown number. Probably spam. I ignored it. Marcus kissed me. I love you. I love you too. We sat in the quiet of our apartment, our home, our life we'd built together. Outside, Denver sparkled with January snow. Inside, everything was warm. My savings account had $42,100 in it. I was investing 15% of every paycheck. I was on track to buy property in 2 years. I was debt-free, thriving, surrounded by people who loved me. I'd given Derek $88,800 over 4 years. I didn't regret it. Not anymore. Because it had taught me something invaluable. My worth wasn't measured by how much I gave. It was measured by how I chose to live after I stopped giving to people who didn't value it. The phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Probably nothing. I turned it off completely. Marcus and I went to bed. His arm around me, breathing in sync. In the morning, I'd check the voicemail. Maybe it was important. Maybe it wasn't. But tonight, I chose peace. I chose me. And that choice changed everything.